Welcome back. This is video number 6. We are now reading pages 35 through to page 38 from the book Marine Fish and Corals for the Complete Beginner. And please remember, if you prefer to read the pages yourself, then just stop the video. So, let's open the book. Page 35. Phosphate reactor. At some points during your water cycle, you will get a thing called phosphates. When talking about phosphates in aquariums, these are mostly negatively charged ions, containing phosphorus, oxygen, and at least some of them hydrogen. What you're actually measuring with the test kit is orthophosphates. Phosphorus is contained in all living organisms, also in a number of common minerals like apatite, calcium phosphate. Phosphates can potentially be released from all these phosphorus sources, so to help reduce this, we use a thing called a phosphate reactor, photo 1, and in that we put a media. There are many types of media on the market, and you are best talking to your LFS to see what type you want to use. These medias can also be placed inside canister filters, or even internal filters. Phosphates can be caused by bad RO water, tap water and poor quality salt. To help cut down the risk of phosphates, I would advise you to look for a salt brand that does not contain phosphates. If you are unsure if the salt you are using has low phosphates, then test your newly mixed salt water with your phosphate test kit. Photo 1. Phosphate does not really affect fish, but corals are, so keep your eye on the phosphate levels in a reef aquarium. Some examples of possible signs of phosphate are shown below. Page 36. A phosphate reactor is a great way to remove phosphates in the aquarium. It simply consists of an outer tube with a sealed lid that has one inlet and one outlet. The water goes through the inlet, through the media. It is then returned via the outlet. How do phosphate reactors work? Water is sent from a pump inside the aquarium, along a pipe attached to the inlet. See photo 1. The water flows down this pipe to the bottom, and is then filtered up through the sponge and media. For instance, ROFOS, carbon, or even both. Once through the media, the water is sent out of the outlet pipe back into the aquarium. It's that simple. Please note, if you intend to use ROFOS in the reactor, you must flush and clean it with RO water until the water runs clear, before you fit it to the aquarium. Otherwise the ROFOS will contaminate the aquarium water. You can use both ROFOS and carbon together. Always leave just under a third or so of the reactor clear, so you can see clean water. These units can be hung on the side or back of your aquarium, even placed in your sump. Why do you need a phosphate reactor? They are only able to remove phosphates that actually get to them. The problem is that phosphates are not coming from the water, they are coming from the detritus. If you are not able to clean your tank of detritus because of the aquascaping, then maybe a reactor is for you, but they are not needed if detritus can be removed in a timely manner. Reef aquariums are full of methods that try to keep phosphates under control. Because of bad information about how to set up systems, it is good to take a step back and see why I need this piece of equipment. Is it cheaper to keep buying media, or just do better with the siphon once a week? Page 37. We didn't realize what we had made. This is just a little story about how we built one of the first nitrate reactors, and at the time we didn't realize what we had built. I mentioned at the beginning of my book, keeping fish and corals in the UK, even as late as 1986, was not as easy as it is today. Things, especially in the UK, were not geared up for keeping marine fish and corals. Don't forget, we are talking pre-internet here. Googling wasn't an easy go-to for quick answers. If you wanted information, you had to make a trip to the local library. Anyway, you get the picture. This story is about myself and a very good friend of mine, Ulrich Cleaver, or just Ollie to his friends. He was a German chap that came over for a holiday, enjoyed it so much he decided to live here. Ollie was a fellow marine enthusiast, and with a good knowledge of keeping marine fish, Ollie decided that he wanted a new, bigger aquarium for his living room. It was an 8-footer, 8 foot long, by 2 foot wide, by 2 foot deep. In fact, it was so big that he had to have it built in situ, in his home. Back then, trickle filters or under gravel filters were the in thing, and people didn't have the know-how on filtration. Sumps were not as popular as they are now. For this reason, we always had a battle with nitrates. They used to run very high, to say the least. Don't forget we didn't use RO water back then, especially if the aquariums were heavily stocked, and Ollie's certainly was. Just to give you some idea of his stocking levels, he had a batfish that had grown so big that it had no room to swim properly. He actually ended up giving the batfish to the Blackpool Aquarium, just to give it a good home. One day we asked a mutual friend of ours, who was a chemist, what we could use to reduce the nitrate levels in our aquariums. Since he doesn't want to mention in this book, we'll call him Brains. Brains came up with a media concoction. I can't tell you what it was, but we tried it. We purchased some PVC tubing and went to work. We came up with a vertical filter about 3 feet long, which we filled with the media that Brains gave us. We capped the PVC at both ends. On one end, we put a water inlet, and on the other end we put a water outlet. The water outlet had airline tubing connected to it, with a tap on the end that hung into the aquarium, so the water could go into it. Brains had told us that its success depended upon getting the flow right. We checked the nitrates with a test kit, and boy were they high, but now at least we had a starting point for the nitrate levels. We regularly adjusted it over a few weeks. We tested the water coming out of our new filter every week, and we noticed that if the water just trickled out it had no nitrates in it. We were onto something now. We kept adjusting the outlet tap slightly, opening it every day to let more water out. We still had no nitrates. The problem was we just couldn't get the water to flow out faster. If we adjusted it to come out quicker, then the nitrate levels went up. We persevered with it for months. I even built one for my own aquarium. We eventually gave in, realizing that the turnover of water in a 8x2x2 aquarium was not going to benefit from just a trickle of water. To give you some idea of how much water was trickling out of our filter, it took about half an hour just to fill one glass. On reflection, Ali, Brains, and I actually built one of the first nitrate reactors. Page 38. UV light. What is ultraviolet light? UV light. In an aquarium, UV lights are used to aid in the elimination of bad bacteria and parasites. They are sometimes referred to as a sterilizer. UV filters, or other common names, assigned by hobbyists. But, actually, UV lights don't sterilize or remove anything from the water, like a mechanical filter would. It does, however, alter the contents of the water. A UV unit consists of high-energy light bulbs that shine through water passing. There is a bulb outside of a sleeve made of quartz glass, while inside the sleeve the water passes by the bulb. The whole unit is encased so that the hobbyist does not see ultraviolet light. When a small enough life form or free molecule moves by, and is close enough, and is exposed to the light long enough, with proper flow rate, it alters the life form or molecule. UV lights can disrupt proteins, so that certain organisms can't replicate. For example, when a fish suffers with a parasite called ick, UV light will kill this. The UV light unit needs a pump of some kind to force the water through the light. You can use a canister filter to do this or a separate pump. It is very important to change the UV tube every 6 months, or when the manufacturer recommends it to be replaced. This piece of equipment is not essential, but will improve your water quality. Speak to your LFS for more information. The calculation of UV is measured against the amount of water running through the UV unit. Your LFS will be able to work this out for you. In the next video, which is video 7, we will be reading from pages 39 through to page 44. Please remember to subscribe, like, and ring the bell, so you don't miss any future videos. This will spur me on to make more videos and upload more information. Thanks for watching.